Hello students, this is Ujjwala Bhandiwad, lecturer from Gogte PU College of Commerce and Science, Belagavi. In the previous chapters, we have learnt how to use the class, how to create the class, member data, member functions of the class. Okay. Also, I have shown we can use the polymorphism with the help of function overloading. Okay. And we have learnt different concepts of object oriented programming. In today's class, we are going to begin, okay, with a new chapter, that is constructors and destructors. So students, it is sometimes convenient if the object can be initialized by itself, okay. Otherwise, what we have to do is we have to create the object first, then we have to call the separate member function call we have to do, okay. Instead of that, if it gets initialized itself, it is more convenient, okay. So hence we are going to learn that concept in this chapter, okay. So let us begin our new chapter, chapter number 9, that is constructors and destructors. So what is constructor means? Constructor means it is a special member function that is used in the class, okay, to initialize the objects of the class automatically, okay. Means if I am using a constructor means objects will be automatically initialized. Initialized means the starting value can be given automatically, okay. So to do that, we need to follow certain rules. See students, the definition and the rules are important. It is asked, definition is asked for 1 mark and rules are asked for 2 to 3 marks. So you have to remember the rules. Rule number 1 states that constructor always has same name as that of the class name, okay. Second rule is there is no return type for the constructor. Means we are not going to even write the void return type for the constructor. Third rule is the constructor should be always declared in a public section. Means we know that in a class actually 3 access specifiers are there, okay. Private, public and protected. But always constructor should be declared in a public section only. Next rule states that the constructor is invoked automatically when the objects are created, okay. It means that constructor is going to have default set of arguments. Arguments are nothing but the variables which will be holding the values, okay. Next rule states that it is not possible to refer to the address of the constructor. Address means inside the memory constructor will be stored. No, that memory address they are talking. It is not possible to refer to the address, memory address of the constructors. Okay. So these are few rules. Okay. So you have to remember these things for 2 to 3 marks. For whenever we create the constructor, we must remember these rules, okay. So let me show this with the help of one simple example. See here, I have considered here a class. The name of the class is test. It has 2 variables x and y which are of the data type integer. Now, as per the rules of the constructor, see here in a public section, okay, I have declared one constructor. How you say it is a constructor? You can identify the constructor by the rules itself. First rule says that name of the constructor and the function name should be same. Okay, then hence name of the class is test here, and here function name is also test, so it is a constructor. Okay, now this constructor has two variables x and y. It has that those two variable values we have given here, that is x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, means the initial value or a starting value of our variables x and y are 0. This is initialized in this constructor. Okay, so this is just one simple example to understand. Okay, next next part is the different types of constructors. There are actually three types of constructors, namely first one is default constructor, second one is parameterized constructor, and third one is copy constructor. Students, for 1 mark you have to remember what are the different types of constructors. Okay, there are three types of constructors, namely default constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructor. So in today's class, we are going to focus only on default constructor. So what is default constructor? A constructor which does not accept any arguments is known as default constructor. Means it will not have any variables. Okay, then such type of constructor we call it as default constructor. Okay, one more name for default constructor is zero argument constructor, because it doesn't have any arguments only, hence the another name is zero argument constructor. Okay, it has few characteristics, students, here. So those characteristics we call it as features. So features of default constructors are, first feature is for every object created, the default constructor is automatically called. Okay, it means that you need not have to call explicitly or extra, you cannot do anything here. Automatically the constructor will be called. Second character is all objects of the class are initialized with the same set of values. Means you have a one object, then it have the values of the constructor. You have a second object, again it has its own value of you can say variables, again it will be have a same values. Means you can create any number of object, all the objects will be having same values only. Okay, this I am going to show with the help of example. Now you will learn. Third character is if different objects are to be initialized with different values, then it is not possible with the default constructor. Yes, it is true that if I create n number of objects, all n objects will be assigned with the same set of values. If I want different values to be assigned, then it is not possible with the default constructor. Okay, to show you that, let us consider one example. This is the programming example, important for 5 marks. You must remember these things. Okay, syntax is class name, then the scope resolution operator, class name, we are going to write the same. Okay, so let me take how it will work here. See, our program begins with hash include iostream.h, then iomanip.h. These are our header files. Okay, the name of the class I have taken is x. See here, the name of the class is x. Now, inside the class I have the access specifiers private and public. In private, I have declared two variables. Which are they? A and B are the two variables of the data type integer. Means A and B are our variables or arguments which will have integer type of value. Means no decimal values, decimal point values. It will have whole numbers. Next, in the public section, I have declared the constructor. You can see constructor, how it is created. The name of the class and the constructor name is same only. Next, inside the constructor, I am initializing the value. What values I have initialized? A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. I have assigned the value of variable A as 10 and value of B is equal to 20. I have assigned, this assignment I have done inside the constructor. Next, once I assign, see here, next function is display. In display, I am displaying it, see here, C out A, then B. You might be observing here I have written the values of A and B in a single line. I have written, it is possible we can display the output in a single line. Now I have used here one important function, that is set W inside a file. Set W means it gives the horizontal space between the two values. This function is defined in the iomanip.h header file. Hence, in the beginning, I have used in the header files, after iostream.h, I have used iomanip.h. Okay, because without the header file, I cannot use this function. Okay, so now endl, we know that it indicates end of the line. Then I am closing the class. After that, void main. Main is the main function. Then inside the main function, I am creating objects of the class. You can see here obj1 and obj2 are the two objects I have created of the class X. When I say obj1.display, and second time also I am saying obj2.display, close the bracket. What will happen? When I say obj1.display, we know that display function, inside the display function I am displaying value of A and value of B. And value of A I have assigned it as 10 inside the constructor. Value of B I have assigned it as 20. When I call obj1.display, output should be 10 and 20. When I say obj2.display, again output will be 10 and 20. Okay, so you can see in this way output will be displayed. You can see between 10 and 20 there is a space. Okay, how the space has come? Because of set W function. Okay, space has come. Now you might be observing, when I say obj1.display, output is 10 and 20. obj2.display, output is again 10 and 20, which means that n number of objects I can create, but all the objects will be having same set of values. Means the values are assigned here are same only. Okay, so this is the feature of default constructor. So students, now let us analyze what are the disadvantages of the default constructor. See, first main disadvantage is when we create many objects, okay, all objects will be initialized to the same set of values. Just now I have shown with the help of programming example. Okay, this is the one drawback. Second thing is, it is not possible to initialize different object with the different set of values in the default constructor. Okay, so these are the two disadvantages, or you can say limitations, of the default constructor. So students, you have to remember what is the definition of default constructor, features, programming example, and its disadvantages. Okay. So finally, just recall with a few question and answers what we have learnt in today's class. First question is, what is constructor? You can see constructor means it is a special member function which is used to initialize the object of the class automatically. Okay. Then there are different types of constructors are there. Basically 3 different types of constructors are there: default, parameterized, and copy constructor. In today's class, we have learned about only default constructor. Okay. Now the final question is, write the syntax and example of a default constructor. Students, it is asked for 5 marks. Whenever question of 5 marks comes, you have to give the programming example and you have to conclude it. So first write down the syntax, then write down the program example. Just now I have given you the class X example where I have displayed 2 objects with the same set of values that you can explain. Okay. So I hope you have understood the default constructors. Again in the next class, we will be continuing with the parameterized and copy constructors with more examples. Okay. Thank you students.